Hey guys, Gore here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be going over every type of smoke munition in the game, from handheld smoke grenades to smoke fire from grenade launchers and AT launchers, smoke rounds from mortars, and vehicle smoke. Too often, I see players either misusing any number of these or not using them at all. Properly placed and used at the appropriate times, smoke can create walls of concealment for you and your team to aid you in both offensive and defensive situations. Before we do get started, about 85% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content here, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching this video within a few hours of release, I'm live streaming over on Twitch right now. Come on by for a bit or just to say hello. But Gore, I don't want to go to Twitch to watch your live stream. Well, now you're in luck, because I'm doing my first ever YouTube live stream tomorrow, Friday the 10th, starting at 8 a.m. EST. I hope to see a lot of you guys there. Now, let's get into things. The most important overarching principle of using smokes in squad is you want to smoke your enemies out, not yourself. That means that you want to put smoke as close to your enemy's eyes as possible. We do this for several reasons. For one, the closer an obstruction is to someone, the more it obscures their field of vision. So if you underhand your smoke right in front of yourself, you're blocking all of your own vision while only blocking a small portion of your enemies. The other reason we do this is maneuverability. If our smokes are closer to the enemy, thus more of their vision is obscured, we have more room to play with to move and reposition where our enemies won't be able to see us. As we move throughout the different types of smokes, you'll see this same principle come up time and time again. Moving on, the first type of smoke we're going to take a closer look at is your handheld throwable smoke. These are one of the only items in the game outside of weapons and bandages that come standard on every kit. Some classes, like the squad leader and medic, get access to more than just the standard 2 smokes. For the kits that just have 2 smokes, the default color is always white, but the other kits previously mentioned get access to more than just white. The blue 4 factions, being the US, Brits, and Canadians, get access to red and white smoke in addition to white, while red 4 factions, being the Russians, MEA, irregular militia, and insurgents, get access to orange and purple in addition to white. With this in mind, whenever you see a color of smoke not possessed by your faction, you know that enemies are nearby. Getting into the actual use of these handhelds, when throwing any smoke grenade, there are a couple things to keep in mind. Firstly, you can throw smoke grenades about 50 meters. You don't have a cannon of an arm, so make sure you aren't throwing your smokes preemptively. Meaning, if you're coming up on a hill and you want to smoke the field past the hill before you push, don't throw your smokes before you get to the hill itself. You're going to need every meter of concealment you can get. Next, and this is unknown to many, is the RGD smoke grenades found on the red 4 factions push smoke out from both ends of the grenade, creating a very even dispersion of smoke to both sides of where the grenade landed. With the blue 4's M18 smoke grenades, the smoke only comes out the end opposite to where the pin is located. Meaning, when the grenade is thrown straight out in front of yourself, the smoke will release from the right side of the grenade. With this in mind, you need to consider what area you're trying to conceal and then ensure you're throwing your smokes slightly left of the desired location. Now, 95% of the time, you want to throw your smokes as far as possible, but there are situations where dropping them close by is preferable. These situations are typically when enemies have the elevation advantage over you. If an enemy is in a building or on a rooftop, no smoke cloud is going to build high enough to obscure their vision of you and your teammates, regardless of how far you can throw it. Obviously, if the building is right next to you, you can throw it somewhere that will obscure their view, but in this situation, our adversary is further than 50 meters. In these scenarios, you want to place your grenades where the smoke will envelop you and your teammates and give you those precious few meters to get out of the kill box and into some cover. This strategy can also be applied when you and your teammates are the ones on top of a building. Dropping smoke to conceal the area can allow you or someone else to drag it down friendly to safety, where then they can be revived. On to the next type, we have the grenade launcher smoke. Every Grenadier in squad is equipped with 6 total smoke rounds, 2 white, 2 blue, and 2 red, regardless of faction. The only difference is the effective range of these smokes based on which launcher they're being fired from. I know when I made my Grenadier guide, the smokes were bugged and would only show for the player that fired them, but that has since been fixed. Grenadiers have 3 distinct advantages when it comes to their smoke rounds. Firstly, with 6 in total, they have the most of any class in squad. Secondly, they are not limited to the 50-meter range of normal throwable smokes. They can be accurately fired from ranges of 250 to 500 meters depending on the faction. Lastly, and most often overlooked, is these grenades do not require time to billow like handheld smokes. Meaning, if you need concealment ASAP, your Grenadier has you covered, or rather concealed. When using these rounds, the principle of put smoke in your enemy's eyes, not your own, is all the more present, as now, in any close to medium to even long-range engagement, you can effectively drop smokes right in front of your enemy. The issue of elevation is also resolved with the Grenadier Smoke, since regardless of your enemy being on a roof or in a building, one round can force that individual to have to reposition, giving yourself and your team those extra few seconds to do what is needed. If needed, the Grenadier Smokes can be deployed right on top of yourself, but these rounds do have an arming distance of about 1 meter, so you can shoot them at your feet, but if you shoot them at a wall right next to you, they will not arm. Much like the Grenadier Smoke, we have the smoke round found on the US's M3 Mortars. This round can be ranged up to 700 meters, meaning its effective range is a whopping 1200 meters when factoring in the BDC. These rounds act the same as a Grenadier Smoke, with them not needing time to billow after impact. As far as the smoke's appearance, it more so resembles the larger plume of smoke you'll see from a mortar round. The Moss Smoke can be used for every single scenario previously mentioned besides one. Like any other rocket, the smoke rocket has an arming distance of 40 meters, meaning it must travel that distance before it will work as intended. My personal favorite use of these rounds is in long-range engagements. On maps like Talil and Kohat, you'll often run into scenarios where either a vehicle or an enemy emplacement is raining down hell on your team from afar, and no attempt has been able to stop them. Well, what I'll do in these situations is find myself a nice little ammo crate to sit next to with a decent line of sight on the enemy and throw smoke after smoke into their face. This will force the vehicle to relocate, giving your team time to move or your friendly vehicles time to get into position to eliminate. Against an emplacement, these smoke rounds will render them useless until the smoke clears. Last of the infantry utilized smokes, we have smoke mortars. I'm not going to get into the specifics of using mortars, as I have a guide for that, of which I'll leave a link to down in the description if you'd like to check it out. Now, what do you think we want to emphasize when using smoke mortars? That's right, put the smoke right in your enemy's faces. The main benefits of using smoke mortars is size, frequency, and effective range. Size, while she may say it doesn't matter, does matter when it comes to smoke clouds. The smoke produced by the rounds is the largest in the game. Yes, even larger than the cumulonimbus clouds Chad is blowing out of his vape. A single smoke mortar can cover a large area, and the deviation when firing mortars allows these smokes to spread out a bit, providing a fantastic wall of smoke. The frequency at which these rounds can be fired and the amount of time one smoke round lasts makes these incredibly powerful. The more tubes you can add to the situation, the better. Have them firing at different locations to give your team a substantial area in which they're safe to move through. Now, these rounds can be effective in a multitude of situations, but the most common I find myself in is when the team is faced with an extended infantry push over open ground. On maps like Talil, where you have to assault a point like Gastown, concealing your infantry's advance is just about the only way to take the objective. Finally, we have the engine smoke and smoke launchers found on vehicles. I won't really touch on the smoke launchers, as they're really only used in armor versus armor fights or to evade infantry, and they'll be covered in a future vehicle guide. The main focus is on the engine smoke that can be deployed by the drivers of any APC, IFV, or MBT. This smoke is most often used when a vehicle is evading a threat, but it has so much more utility than just that. When infantry are crossing open ground and are in dire need of concealment from enemy fire, you can bring your vehicle out in front of your infantry and start releasing your engine smoke. Driving in a zigzag pattern, you can blanket an immense area in smoke and give your infantry the time they needed to get across the open ground safely. Now, with how easy it is to get tracked in squad, I don't recommend doing this tactic in anything other than a wheeled APC or IFV, as you're essentially driving straight into a fortified enemy position. Anyways, that is going to just about do it for today's video. I hope you did all enjoy and were able to pick up a thing or two to take with you into your next game. If you want to see more squad guides and other content like this in the future, drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'm out.